Hi, everybody. I'm Sandy Gulliver, and joining me is my friend Sandra Baskin, yay, Daryl Anistel, and we have a special guest today to Josh Doss, Shannon Novak. Shannon is a hair and makeup artist, and I met her on a set of a commercial that I did, and that was years ago. And she has become a friend since then, and she is here today to teach me how to put on makeup, and that's exactly why I don't have any makeup on as we speak. And first of all, Shannon, can you tell us a little bit about your credential?
Absolutely. So I have been doing makeup self-taught for over 2 decades now. Started off self-taught, then went to cosmetology school, worked in a salon for a while, realized that wasn't really the angle I wanted. I wanted more makeup. So I decided I moved out to Los Angeles in Burbank and went to makeup designery, film, television, and special effects makeup school. And I stayed out in LA. I also got involved in acting while I was out there, built up my makeup resume. After about 6 years, I decided I wanted to be closer to my family. So I moved back to Chicago, where I then went on to go to aesthetic school and got my esthetician license as well. So you don't have to have all these certifications to be a makeup artist, but I figure if I'm working on the skin, which is your largest organ, I should know what I'm doing and learn as much as I can, because knowledge is power and you can never stop learning. So I worked in a dermatology office for a little while, and I've been working in film, TV, commercials, weddings, fashion shows, pretty much you name it since then.
Yeah. I had a question as you were talking, which I never really knew before. Do you belong to the hair and makeup union?
I do not. I chose to not join for a couple of reasons at this point in my life, so not at this point.
Mm-hmm. I asked because the hair and makeup union did a catalog several years back, and they were looking for people that they could make over into all these time period type characters, so that they can create this catalog to send to California to show the movie makers out there that they don't have to bring their people with them. We have qualified people right here in Chicago. So I don't know if that catalog ever got sent to California, but I still have the pictures of me as a flapper in the 20s, which I love.
I bet.
So we should get going, because we really only have about 15 minutes for you to talk me through this. Shannon and I had a little Zoom meeting the other day where she looked into my makeup drawer and picked out all the sort of things that she was going to need for me to have ready. So we're ready.
And may I say, Sandy Gulliver, brave person, coming on Zoom, no makeup. Atta girl. We can all learn from this.
A beautiful canvas to begin with.
I agree.
Well, I got some age spots and some this is little brown spot here that was like when I had my eyebrows waxed at one point, and it must have been too hot, and it didn't show up until I was older. It's all in your DNA and all pops out when it's
for sure,
I guess. A couple little brown spots here, but they're not really showing up that good. So here I go. What do we start with?
So I'm going to start you off with your first step, which I don't always start off with, but being that, some people may have a little sparseness in the eyebrows, we're going to start off with your eyebrows because it creates the frame of your face. So if I recall, you typically use a powder for your eyebrows, correct?
Two things. I used to use this eyeshadow, and then you put it on with a little brush.
Little tapered brow brush.
Yeah. And then I found a paste, which I've been using since then. So either one, whichever one you want me to use, I'll use.
Whichever you are more comfortable with, totally fine. There's pencils, there's gels, there's, some people even get microblading done, which is like a tattoo. Whatever your preference will work.
Oh, I'd love to have that.
So you're going to put a little bit of
last year.
Did you have that done, Sandra?
Sorry for interrupting, Shannon. I had it done, but then the girl disappeared on me, so I didn't get the follow-up. But that is a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do it again.
So I'm wondering why I'm all flushed, but maybe I'm like embarrassed or something. Anyway, I'm not normally as red. This is flush. What should I use? The powder?
So
or the-
if you've been using the gel, let's go with the gel. And you're going to dip your brush a little bit in there, put a little bit of product on there. And when you're applying it, the rule of thumb is you can take your brush and you can line it up to the side of your nose and put it vertical. So wherever that ends by your brow, that's where you want to start your brow from. And to get the edge, you're going to tilt that brush towards the corner of your eye. And wherever that ends, that's where your brow is going to end. So it gives you a little bit of a guide. And you're going to use little brush-like strokes to fill in and create your brow.
Okay. So I'm going to be using, I have a magnifying mirror right here, which I'm going to use because the brows are always the hardest part for me.
And while Sandy does this, I just wanted to go into, prior to our call, Sandy fully washed her face, cleansed, moisturized, toned. Primer is really important because it can help to fill any pores, help with any wrinkles, and also create a nice base for your makeup. So she did all of that prior to our call. And go ahead, Sandra.
What kind of primer?
Oh, there's a lot of different primers out there, but there's ones that if you feel like you're typically more oily, you can use a mattifying primer. There's overall just a ton out there without naming any names. I'm happy to, talk anybody through if you have any questions afterward.
Oh, it's a liquid.
With you.
It's a liquid.
It's kind of like a cream. I can
Oh,
show you.
okay.
I've
That's
got
what
a
I
little
was
bit
thinking.
right here. It's kind of just like a little bit of a cream.
Gotcha.
You
Yeah.
just rub it in over your moisturizer. If your moisturizer has a sunscreen, that's also very important. Sun protection is super, super important in life.
Cool. Making notes.
Yes. And brushes, make sure your brushes are clean. Clean
Yeah.
them, regularly if you use them regularly. Brushes to me are the tools to apply your makeup. I could put makeup on without it, but I would not look at all like I do when I use my brushes, which are my tools.
Can you talk a little bit about
Sandy?
Can you
Looking
talk
good.
a little bit about color? Because I have gray hair, so does
Yes.
the girl. And my hair color before it turned gray was like a dark brown, kind of like what yours is. So should we stay with the color we had when we still had brown hair? Or do we go to a different color because now we have gray hair?
Typically with me, my rule of thumb is if you have lighter hair, you can go 1 to 2 shades darker on your brow. And if you have darker hair, go 1 to 2 shades lighter.
Wow. That's interesting.
You create just like a nice feathered look. There are looks out there for those that want to go drastic and have a more strong brow. I mean, makeup is so fun. You can really do whatever you like with it, however you want to look. It's fun. But a nice natural look is nice feathering in, and the rule of thumb, what I suggested.
Okay.
And these are just my suggestions. Nothing is right or wrong 100%. This is just kind of what I go by.
I used to have a, it was clear. Anastasia made it, and it's like a gel that goes over this that holds it in place, but I don't have any more of that.
I have it actually right here. I was going to suggest the brow gel you can use. I like to use it at the end of the makeup application after you put on your powder and everything, so you don't get powder stuck into that gel. But it's just a nice little clear tube.
Yeah,
I like to call it mascara for your eyebrows.
Yeah, it was like,
Hairspray for your eyebrows.
Yeah,
Just
but I
take
don't have
photos.
that. So I also don't have powder for when this is all. I've never used powder. I've always felt like it looked cakey. But
And you don't have to use powder.
yeah.
So your brows, they're looking great. And do we want to move on to the next step now?
Mhm.
All right, so the next step I'm going to suggest is an eye base for your eyeshadow. So if you don't have a specific eye base, you can use your concealer, and you're going to put just a little bit of concealer on a little concealer brush, kind of like this.
Mhm.
And what you're going to do is you're going to sweep that across your whole eyelid. Now, it's not only going to create also a base to adhere your eyeshadow and makeup to, it's going to balance out all the colors on your eyelid. So if you have any, perfect.
Which color should I use for the concealer for the base?
I would say the bottom left, under the yellow.
Under
Yes.
the yellow. Okay.
Go with your most natural towards your skin tone, because then when you put their eyeshadow on, you're going to get that color of the shadow. So it's not going to be blotchy because of what's going on underneath. And throughout the day, your eyelids produce different oils. It can mess with the makeup a little bit. It can break it down. It can change the color. So this is going to help keep it to where it should be.
Also, I want to cover up this burn.
Yes, I'm sorry you got a burn. I also got a burn a long time ago with waxing, and my skin just doesn't really enjoy the waxing too much.
Ouch.
I get my eyebrows threaded.
Oh, yeah. Threading and microblading, two different things. Yes.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
that kind of covered up the burn.
Oh,
That will do
yeah.
it.
Right?
So
Okay.
yep, so once you got that nice little base on, we're gonna move to your eyeshadow. So with eyeshadows, you can use a variety of different brushes. I like to go for a basic overall color. I call it a little oval shadow or a fluff brush, just the one that you're gonna put your color onto. And you're gonna go, I would like to see if you have like a satin color or a neutral color for an everyday look. You don't want to go too shimmery, but a satin is a nice color that will lay smooth on your skin.
Mhm.
And then you're
Can I
gonna,
get some of these, because I don't have what you're talking about. Like maybe this one.
is that the cream?
Yeah.
Okay. Are we gonna use the cream instead of a shadow, or did you say you didn't have your
Well,
shadows?
you said you wanted a lighter.
Do you have your eyeshadows with you?
Yeah. But
Yeah,
I
the
have
eyeshadows.
one color, the brown.
Okay. So what we're gonna do is we can create a little bit of depth. Typically, if we were gonna put eyeshadow on, I would suggest a nice satin color all over your eyelid. And then you can go in and put a little bit of a highlighter, which isn't like glittery. It's kind of got a little bit of a shimmer to it right underneath your eyebrow bone. So that kind of pops and opens your eye. And then you can use that darker color on one of your brushes. There are brushes like a crease brush. If you don't have that, just use what you have. And I'll send you a list of the brushes that I suggest, that are good for each step after this as well.
Okay.
And you're going to put that in the corner. See how mine is kind of creating in that corner? It's creating a crease. So what that does is it gives you some depth.
So
So
that's gonna be like this, like that.
Down, start with down by the edge of your eye and then just work in your normal crease that you have.
Oh, the crease.
Just kind of follow that line, but you're going to want to start from the outside.
Oh.
And just kind of keep it in the outside. See how mine, I like to divide my eye in thirds. So I do about the outside third.
Okay.
And this is also when you can use some of your blending brushes to blend your makeup in.
Can
And
you, Shannon?
Yes.
I use a Q-tip thing that's not really a Q-tip. It's a makeup thing. That's a blender as well, right?
Yes. There's a lot of blenders out there. Something like this, are you thinking?
No. Another time.
Okay.
Oh, I gotta do the other one.
So yes, what you're doing is creating some definition. You're helping to pop open your eyes.
You have to practice. We'll all have gorgeous eyes like you do.
It's
that helps.
brushes.
Yeah, for sure.
And you can use a variety of number of eyeshadows. I think today I have 4 different eyeshadows on. It's really a matter of preference on the type of look that you're going for. Mine is a little more dramatic today.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, yeah,
okay, nice.
Okay, so now what?
Okay, so
yeah, it's probably hard to see what I've done so far.
It's a little bit hard to see on the screen here, but on your left eye, I would try to blend that out just a little bit more because you have kind of a distinct line there.
Oh, just left eye.
Yes. And you can always go back in with your other brush to feather it out so you're not adding on darker product as well.
So I need to pipe in here, and Zoom, bless their heart, is telling us we only have 10 minutes left, and that's not going to be enough to make Sandy all the way up.
Okay, so let's fast forward. So let's just put on some mascara and forget the rest of the eye and do the face and
Sure.
stuff like that.
Okay, so we will fast forward to mascara since you suggested that. And I can kind of walk you through if you'd like me to talk about the other steps in between there that I would typically go through. if you'd like.
Sure, while she's doing.
Yeah, while I'm doing that.
So
you
with
can-
mascara, I like to really get in there, and I notice your brush is straight. Sometimes it can be a little bit hard to use the brush straight. So sometimes when I open my mascara, for me personally, I use spoolies for people, but I tilt it and you make it at a little bit of an angle. So then you can really get in there and get all those little lashes.
Mhm.
So that is also an option to do.
Cool.
And also curling your lashes. It is an option. I know Sandy sometimes has issues with it hitting her glasses. So curling them can sometimes help with that. And also a tubing formula mascara can also help because it will be on your lashes and it may not transfer over to the actual glass. So there's different formulas out there that will react differently with your skin. For instance, I use a different mascara on top than I do on the bottom. I use a waterproof mascara on the bottom so I don't have droppage.
Ah, good idea.
Let's do this.
Okay, so we are going to move on to your foundation.
Mm-hmm.
What I'd like to start with first is if you do any color correction, I would do any color correction underneath your foundation.
I do have these little, in the corner of my lips, little like scars from when they crack. And what should I do for red?
So redness, green will counteract red. So in a color corrector palette, you can use that green color to counteract any
Yeah, but I don't have
redness.
that. I don't have green. I only have purple. I'm gonna get my glasses on to see what it says in here. Red, yellow counts as red, it says.
You can also use a yellowish tone, and anything that doesn't cover with the color corrector prior to your foundation may also cover that. And then afterwards, you can also go in with a concealer. The concealer you put on after your foundation.
I don't know how I accidentally got something black on my lip. I don't know where that came from, but anyway, let's go ahead with the foundation. That's the part that do you want me to use this brush or a sponge?
Use a brush. So I like to use foundation brushes, and I like to go in an upward motion. There's no need to drag your skin down. It's already going to do that as we age. Why not brush up, get all that foundation in there? I also like to bring it down under the chin and sometimes to your neck, because you're not always getting the best light throughout the year. Your skin color changes. You don't want to have that floating head effect.
So how do I get this on my face? Right on the brush?
I would either put it on a little palette, or you can use the back of your hand. Just be sure you're, washing your hands before you apply makeup, because you don't want to be applying bacteria to your face.
Okay.
So on the back of the
I
hand,
washed my hand before this.
and then go ahead and just dab it on, rub it around a little bit to get a nice even, and then go ahead and apply it all over.
Oh, okay.
Keep brushing up. Sometimes I'll put it on my hand and then I'll put little marks on my cheeks, my chin, my forehead, the bridge of my nose. And then it's also easier to just go in with the brush and move it around to cover the rest of your face.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of different foundations out there as well. There's matte, there's cream, there's mousse, there's airbrush.
I'm already looking better.
It's looking good.
So yeah, I'm using MAC.
Perfect.
You're right. You are. She's already looking better.
Mm-hmm.
Foundation will just even.
And I didn't even put a whole lot on, not about the size of a dime on my hand.
On your hand, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And also as seasons change too, you might need to adjust from one foundation shade to another, which is very common if you tend to get tan during the summer. So it's always nice, to kind of reevaluate through the seasons where you're matching, just to make sure that it is consistent with how you look at the time.
Okay, now let's go ahead to blush.
Okay, we can move on to blush now. So with the blush, I typically like to start up on the cheekbone and work my way down towards the apple. Are you using a cream blush?
What's this kind?
Is it a powder blush or a cream blush?
I don't know.
The blush.
Oh,
is it actually a cream?
Yeah, I thought it said brush. This is, I don't know. It's not cream.
Cream.
Powder.
That's a cream.
Okay, so if it's powder, well, we'll see if it's powder in a second. So go ahead and put it on that brush, tap it off a little bit just so there's not extra powder. And then you're going to start here and just work your way down. I don't like to overdo it and put it just on the apples of your cheeks. Giving a nice diffuse look is very refreshing. So you want to kind of just work your way down, and you can also add in highlighters and bronzers, contours if you'd like, but that's a whole nother tutorial on its own.
Look at my eye.
Don't poke yourself, Sandy.
Seeing it?
I guess
Seeing it
that's a
all?
powder then, right? Right? Oh, I thought it was a cream. Yeah.
It looks like it's a powder. If it was a cream, it probably wouldn't be transferring so well to that brush, because that is more of a powder brush that Sandy's
Okay.
using, whereas I would use more of you know, a synthetic brush for creams. But
Oh, look at
that's looking good.
Okay, so, all right, now lips.
All right, we'll move on to the lips then. For lipstick, do you like to use a liner? I always suggest a
I
liner because it
really
keeps it in
do,
from
yeah.
bleeding. I like to start from the corners of my mouth and work my way to the center. So I'll start, you know, in one corner, work my way over the Cupid's bow,
Okay.
and then I'll do the same thing on the opposite side. And your lips can change over time. They can become more asymmetrical. That's the beauty of liner and lipstick. You can kind of cheat it a little bit. Another little trick is when you're doing your concealer, if you use a concealer, you can put a little bit at the top of your Cupid's bow, and you can put a little bit in the corners too. And that can give it a little bit of a lift on the corners to appear that your lips are going up. And it can also pop the top lip a little bit to make it look a little more full. So there's some little tricks for you.
Fabulous.
Do you line the whole lip or just the outside?
I typically line the outside and then I'll feather it in. I try to get as close as I can to match the lipstick that I'm using.
Mhm.
But there's also, you know, looks that you can do more of a blended look with a darker shade and then go into a lighter to pop the center out to also give you a fuller look. But I like to feather it just a little bit. And you want to make sure your lip liners over time that they're not drying out. You shouldn't have to push really hard to get that lipstick on. It should just glide on nice.
Oh,
And
yeah. Yeah, that's pretty old.
We're under 2 minutes now, ladies.
Okay, the lipstick and then we're done.
you can put your lipstick on and you can be done for your natural at-home look.
Take your
Well,
band
I'm
off.
doing
The lips,
While I'm doing that, will you talk about Sandra or Daryl? How about you, Daryl, telling us where people can come to watch this video and also to see some before and after pictures right next to each other and all that? Daryl?
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm on. All right. You can go to Facebook and you can look under Just Us, and that'll give you the address to go to. Or you can go
We're on Instagram.
on Instagram,
Yeah.
correct? Which I am now learning how to use because I haven't used it before. And you will find if you call up Just Us, you will be able to attach to the link.
And we'll put a YouTube link on Wednesday afternoons, a little afternoon,
Oh, yeah, we were thinking about maybe going Tuesday because of
except this week.
eat with the inauguration, remember? We were afraid
Yeah.
that people would not want to watch us on Wednesday because they're too busy watching the inauguration. So this might go out on Tuesday, but we'll let you know. How do I look?
You look
you look nice
lovely.
and fresh.
Good.
And we need to, before we run out of time, Shannon, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
Just Us girls love you and we really appreciate it.
I hope you enjoyed it.
We loved it, Sandy. I don't know about everybody else, but you were fun to watch.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll say adios to everybody.
Bye. See you on Facebook.
Toodaloo, bye-bye.
See you on Facebook.